Let me tell you what just died in consulting: the billable hour. Well, it's not dead yet, but it's dying and fast because right now, 68% of consulting engagements still use hourly billing. But by the end of 2026, that number is projected to drop below 40%. And if you're still charging by the hour this year, then you're going to be competing with AI agents that can do in 3 minutes what used to take you 3 days. Because here's what's happening: AI didn't just make consultants faster, it made intelligence cheap. What used to cost a team of analysts 3 days and $3,000 can now take an agent about 3 minutes and $3. So if you're selling hours, you're selling something that's rapidly depreciating in value. But here's the good news: while execution is getting commoditized, judgment is becoming priceless. Buyers don't need someone to tell them what's happening anymore. They can chat GPT that, they can ask Gemini, they can run their own analysis. What they need is someone who can tell them what to do about it, someone who can navigate ambiguity and understands the politics and the cultures and the unwritten rules of getting things done. They're looking for someone that they can trust. And that's the shift. And if you understand it, then 2026 is your year. Today, I'm breaking down the consulting landscape for 2026. We're going to get into what's changing, what's dying, what's emerging. And I want to talk about exactly how to position yourself to win this year against all the things. So let's get into it. I'm Luis Baez, and I've spent over 15 years in tech sales and revenue enablement. I've been recruited at LinkedIn, Google, Uber, and Tesla, and contributed over 600 million in revenue impact. And now I advise consultants, fractional executives, and expert-based businesses who are navigating the same transformation that I'm about to break down. This episode isn't theoretical. It's based on industry research, market data, and what I'm seeing firsthand with my clients in the Booked Busy Paid Accelerator. We're covering 5 major shifts. We're going to talk about why the billable hour is dying and what's replacing it. We're going to talk about the trust recession that's happening right now and why buyers are harder to close than ever. I'm going to explain why specialists are winning and generalists are struggling. And then I'm going to talk about the human premium. We're going to get into the actual skills that command value in this AI world. And by the end of this episode, you're going to walk away with your exact playbook for this year. I'm going to take it a step further. You're going to walk away with your exact actions for this quarter, laying out the landscape for you. Let's get into mapping it. The first shift that I want to talk about is the death of billable hours, because here's the economic reality. In 2023, about a third of professional services firms used AI. Fast forward 2024, 2025, that jumped to about 71%. And by the end of 2026, over 85% of businesses will be using AI. And AI isn't just making you faster, it's also destroying the economic logic of time based billing. And let me give you an example. A legal review that used to take a junior consultant about 8 billable hours now takes an AI agent about 15 minutes. A market analysis that used to take a team 3 days now takes an AI agent about 20 minutes. So if you're billing by the hour, you just lost 95% of your revenue on that task. And here's the thing: your clients know this. They're using the same AI tools that you are. So when you send them an invoice for 40 hours of work that they know could be done in 2 hours, they're not going to want to pay for it. And that shift is already happening. By the end of this year, a third of engagements will be value based pricing. They'll have fixed fee projects, and about a quarter of people will still be charging by the hour. The firms that are making this transition into outcome based, value based pricing are reporting about 2 to 3 times higher earnings on the exact same work they used to do. And here's why: when you charge by the hour, you're incentivized to go slow and to maximize your billings. But when you charge by value, you're incentivized to solve the problem as efficiently as possible to maximize your margins. And clients want that kind of alignment. They want a promised outcome at a predictable cost. So, how do you transition? Let's break that down into 3 steps. The first step is simply stop selling hours and start selling outcomes. From now on, I don't want you to say, this will take about 40 hours at 250 an hour. That'll be about 10K. I don't want you walking into conversations that way anymore. Instead, I want you to say, this engagement is going to generate about $500,000 in cost savings for you over the next 12 months. And my fee is only 75K. What you just did in flipping the script there is that you just 7x your revenue on the exact same work by just focusing on the outcome instead of calculating the hours. The second step that I want you to take from moving away from billable hours is to build tiered pricing. So I don't want you just offering one option. I want you offering three when you go out. First tier is essential. You might offer the assessment and the recommendations and a quick turnaround, and you'll charge a fixed fee for that, right? And that's just the entry point. That's the first band aid that you might be ripping off and helping a business or a person. The second tier is going to be your complete solution. So it's going to be everything in tier one, the needs analysis and all of that, right? You're also running with things like implementation and support and training. So at that second tier, you're charging a higher fee. The third tier is all in partnership. So everything in that second tier, all that implementation and support and training and all of that. Plus, at that partnership level, you're engaging in ongoing optimizations, quarterly reviews, pulling reporting at whatever frequency makes sense for the engagement. And so at that third tier, you're charging that premium fee. And now here's the deal. Most clients will see all three options presented to them and they'll end up selecting tier two. Some might pick tier three, and very few are going to pick that first tier because when they see it sized up against everything else, it feels incomplete. But by offering three options, you're anchoring on value instead of defending a number. Because if they come back to you and say, oh, I've got this budget or that constriction, pick a lane. There are three, right? Third step for moving away from billable hours is to productize your expertise. And so I want you to package your most valuable work into repeatable and scalable solutions. I want you to go to market and instead of saying, I do brand strategy, I want you saying, I use the brand clarity method. It's a three-phase framework that takes companies from confused positioning to crystal clear branding and architecture in 90 days for 35K. What you just did is that you turned your service around and you turned it into a product. And products can scale. One third of professional service firms project that about 75% of their revenues in 2026 are going to come from productized or subscription based offerings. So if you're not building towards that, then you're competing on a declining economic model. And that's why I want you to shift away from billable hours. Now, I want to get into the second shift for consulting that I'm seeing in 2026. Let's talk about why selling is harder than it's ever been. We are in a trust recession. Buyers have been burned. They've hired consultants who overpromised and underdelivered. They bought programs that didn't work. They wasted money on strategic partnerships that went nowhere. So now they're skeptical. They're slow to decide and quick to ghost. Because here's the data. By the end of 2026, 75% of enterprise B2B companies are increasing their budgets for influencer relations, not Instagram influencer. They're looking to partner with industry experts, subject matter authorities, and people with visible track records. Why? Because buyers don't trust corporate content anymore. They assume that it's AI generated. They assume that it's marketing fluff, but they do trust individual experts who show their work and share their frameworks publicly. They're looking for people who have real opinions and visible proof. And that creates two massive changes in how you need to operate. The first change is you need to understand that proof beats promises. You can't just tell people that you're going to get them results. You have to show them how you've already done that. Give them case studies, testimonials, before and after metrics. A named method is that signal that you've done this 50 times before. And in a trust recession, buyers want to see the receipts. So if you don't have proof, build it. Take on a pilot client, get them going, get a testimonial, get that case study, get the data, and then lead with that. The second change, as we're talking about this shift, is operating in a trust recession is all about transparency. Transparency is what wins. Buyers are tired of gatekeeping. They want to know exactly what they're going to get before they commit. So show them your process, walk them through the framework, give them the roadmap. And I know you're afraid that if you'll give it all away, they won't hire you. But here's the truth: the people who can execute on your framework without you weren't going to hire you anyway. And the people who need your expertise, seeing the framework, seeing your thinking and thought leadership publicly is going to make them more likely to buy, not less. Because transparency signals confidence, and confidence builds trust. By 2026, two-thirds of B2B content will be AI generated. So the way that you differentiate is not by creating more content. It's by being transparently human. Show your face, use your voice, share your thinking and your frameworks, and prove that you're real. That's the competitive advantage in a trust recession. Now, before we continue, just a quick note. Everything that I'm teaching you today, the pricing transition, building proof in a trust recession, this is what we work on in the Booked Busy Paid Accelerator. It's where I help consultants, fractional executives, and expert based businesses build the complete revenue system: how you get clients, how you deliver without burning out, and how you keep the cash flowing. So, if you want to see if this accelerator is right for you, visit bookbusypaid.com, book a call with me. We'll do a vibe check and see if I can help you. Cool? Let's keep going. I want to get into the third shift that I'm seeing for consulting in 2026. Here's the deal: the consulting market is fragmented. The we do everything for everyone model is just dying out. And the niche specialist model is the one that's thriving. And here's why. AI democratized access to general information. Your clients can simply ask Claude how to build a marketing strategy. They can ask Perplexity. They can watch YouTube tutorials. So they don't need a generalist to tell them what marketing is, but they do need a specialist who can tell them how to build a demand generation engine specifically for SaaS companies selling to mid market healthcare buyers. That level of specificity cannot be Googled or replicated. It requires deep lived experience. And that's where the money is. The data backs this up. Boutique and niche consulting firms are outpacing generalists in growth, and they're commanding about 15 to 20% higher price premiums. Why? Comes down to three reasons. The first is that specialization signals proof. When you say, I can help businesses grow, you sound like everybody else. But when you can say, I can help expert based businesses making between $100,000 and $500,000 a year build predictable revenue systems using the book busy paid method, you sound like the only person who does that, right? Buyers don't want options, they want the expert. And the second reason why specialists beat generalists is that specialization creates defensibility. A generalist is competing with McKinsey. A specialist owns a market. If you're the go to expert for AI driven supply chain optimization in pharmaceutical manufacturing, you don't have competitors. You have a monopoly. You have a whole moat to yourself, right? And the third reason that specialization helps you win is that it scales through reputation. So when you're known for that one thing, the referrals start to compound. Every client that you serve deepens your expertise. Every case study reinforces your positioning. Every testimonial attracts the same exact type of client. And that is leverage. So here's what you need to do. I need you to pick your lane. I need you to get specific, and I need you to own it. I don't want you saying, I do leadership coaching. I want you saying, I help first time CEOs at venture backed startups build executive presence and navigate board relationships. That's more specific. I don't want you saying, I do digital transformation. Instead, I want you going out to market and I want you saying, I help legacy manufacturing companies integrate AI into their supply chain operations without disrupting production, right? The narrower that you go, the more that you can charge because you're not competing on price, you're competing on proof. The fourth shift that I want to talk about in 2026 for consulting is the human premium. I want to talk about what actually commands value in this AI world because when execution gets commoditized, human judgment becomes priceless. And here's what I mean. AI can analyze data faster than you. It can draft reports better than you. It can run scenarios more thoroughly than you can, but it can't do three things. The first thing is AI cannot navigate ambiguity. It operates on logic, but business operates on politics, culture, and unwritten rules. Who actually makes a decision? What's the real reason that the change is being resisted? How do you get three department heads who hate each other to agree on the same operating model? That's human judgment. And that's what clients will pay a premium rate for. The second thing that AI can't do is provide ethical oversight. AI can optimize a process, but it can't tell you if that optimization is ethical. Should you automate this role even though it eliminates 200 jobs? Should you use this data even though it raises privacy concerns? Should you deploy this AI agent even though it might hallucinate and create risk? That's where humans add value as the ethical firewall. And the third thing that AI can't do is build trust through presence. Clients don't just want answers. They want to feel confident in the answer. And confidence comes from relationships, from seeing your face, hearing your voice, knowing that you've been in the room when things went sideways and you figured it out. AI cannot replace that. It can assist you, but it can't replace you. So the consultants who win in 2026 are what I call architects. They're using AI to handle the data analysis, the first drafts, the scenario modeling, and that frees up their cognitive bandwidth for the high value work like strategy, influence, and decision making. They're not competing with AI. They're using AI to amplify their expertise. So, again, here are the skills that command those premium rates in 2026: contextual intelligence, understanding the nuances that AI can't parse, ethical judgment, acting as the human firewall for AI decisions, critical thinking, so interrogating all those outputs from AI instead of just accepting them as fact, and negotiation and influence. And that's about getting humans to align when logic alone won't work. Those skills can't be automated, and they're worth about 3 to 5 times what any execution skills are worth. Now let's get into your 2026 playbook because there are specific actions that I want you to take now. I don't want you just passively listening to this and not doing anything for yourself. Here's what I want you to do this quarter to set yourself up for 2026. The first thing I want you to do is to audit your pricing model. What percentage of your revenue comes from hourly billing? If it's over 50%, you're at risk. Start transitioning. Pick one engagement this quarter and price it based on value, not hours. Test it, refine it, and then scale it. The second action that I want you to take is I want you to build proof. So if you don't have case studies, create them. If you don't have testimonials, ask for them. If you don't have a named method, it's time to extract all that thinking. In a trust recession, proof is currency. And I want you to start building it now. The third action I want you to take this quarter is to pick your niche. I want you to stop being a generalist, get specific about who you serve, what the problem is that you solve, and the transformation that you create. I want you to write it down. I want you to test it on LinkedIn and refine it based on who responds. The fourth thing is I want you this quarter to show your work, share your frameworks publicly, write LinkedIn posts, record videos, publish your process. Because again, transparency is what builds trust faster than marketing ever will. And the fifth thing that I want you to commit to this quarter is to become an architect. I want you to learn how to use AI to handle execution work, data analysis, first drafts, research. And then I want you to focus your brain on strategy, influence, and judgment, because that's where the value is. Do those five things, and you'll be positioned to win in 2026, while most consultants are still trying to figure out what happened. To close out for today, here's what I want you to take away. 2026 isn't about working harder. It's about operating smarter in a fundamentally different landscape. Billable hours are dying, trust is scarce, generalists are struggling, and the human premium is the new competitive advantage. The consultants who win are the ones who embrace this shift, who transition to value based pricing, and who build proof, and who build their positioning, and who specialize deeply. Those who use AI as leverage understand that it's not a threat. If you want to see how this fits into the complete system for your business, how pricing, positioning, and proof all connect to your acquisition, your delivery, and your operations, visit bookbusypay.com. And if you want to do a vibe check with me, I'll help you figure out the right approach for your system. This is Unhustling, where we build slower, breathe deeper, and adapt faster than the market moves. I'm Luis Baez, and I'm in your corner.